doesn't have in it is the foundational doctrine that I'm assuming everybody already has, except for the visitors, which is Colossians 2, about everything in Judaism being a shadow of Messiah. So we always start with the Torah portion, and this week, just like last week, I'm teaching on the name of the Torah portion. Last week, do you remember what the name of the Torah portion was? The Etchanan. Say the Etchanan. And remember, it means, and he grace, and he, whatever that means. I don't know how to put it into English very well, obviously, but it's the word grace. And he graced God. He looked for grace. He did grace with God. That's Moses. Now this week we're in Deuteronomy chapter 7, and the name of the Torah portion is Ekev. But I have to say this properly. Listen. I can't even do it. Ekev. Where's that water? Where's the water? Ekev. I can't even do it. There's a guttural snap in the back of your throat when you say an ayin. Watch. Ayin. Now you can do it. Yeshua. 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 I don't know if it's Yeshua or Yeshua. Yeshua. And Ekev. It's not a soft sound. It's not a kind and pretty sound. It's Ekev. Yeshua. It's hard. It's deep. It's guttural. And this word, Ekev, I'm like, I've read this Torah portion a million times, but I've never studied the title. I don't even know what the title means. I don't even know why it's called this. So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 12. Then it shall come about because. That's the word Ekev. And they translate it because. And it's not anywhere near what it should be. It's on the heels of. The heel of the body is an Ekev. It's the same word written the same way, and the root is a heel. Now because of that, because it's on the heels of listening to the mitzvot, on the heels of you listening to these mitzvot means what they translate as, what they poorly translate as commandments. It's not commandments. It's set up things. There's no such word as commandments in the Bible. It does not exist. The only time that anybody commands anybody in Hebrew is the Persian kings, the Pharaoh, and the Assyrian kings. In the entire Bible, God never commands anything to anyone. He sets up or establishes things. That's what the word mitzvah means. And it says here, on the heels of you listening to these judgments, mishpatim, and keep and do them, then the Lord your God will keep with you his covenant and his loving kindness which he swore to your fathers. So because you listen to the, we're going to call mitzvot, that's kind of all-encompassing for all the different words of what they call the law, or Judaism. Quote, Judaism is what's poorly translated as laws, commandments, judgments, statutes, and law. Those 5 words. They're all bad words. They're all not well translated at all. If you study what the words mean, every single one of them means basically a picture. Something either engraved in the ground, set up to look at, or something like that. It's something visual. So because on the heels of you listening to these mitzvot and keeping and doing them, that the Lord your God will keep with you his covenant and his mercy, loving kindness, which he swore to your fathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you, and also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground, your grain, your new wine, your oil. These are the verses that the church loves. They love these verses. But they don't look at the if. They like the then. We like the then. But we, as humans, don't like the if. It shall be on the heels of you listening to these mitzvot. On the heels of listening to these mitzvot, this is what will occur. I'll bless your womb, the fruit of your ground, your grain, your new wine, your oil, the increase of your herd, the young, your flock, the land which he swore to your forefathers to give you. I'll do all that if you listen to these mitzvot. You shall be blessed above all peoples. There shall be no male or female barren among you. And it lists more blessings and more blessings. But the blessings start with, it shall be on the heels of doing what? Listening. Not doing the mitzvot. Listening to the mitzvot. And it's a small point that everybody misses. But it's not a small point to God. It's enormous. So hopefully I'm going to get this across what's going on here. Now, what the rabbi saw, at least one of them, the Tzemach Tzedek, and all the other rabbis seemed to agree with him, was this statement that he made. Ekev, the heel, refers to Ikveta de Meshicha. Now that's Aramaic, it's not Hebrew, and it means the heels of Messiah. The heels of Christ. That's what it means. Ikveta de Meshicha means the heels of Christ. That's what it means. Christ means Messiah. It's not a name. So it refers to the heels of Messiah, which is a generation. It's the last generation of the exile, and it's called the heels of Messiah by our sages because, number one, they're spiritually the lowest generation, having descended and descended and descended until there's like hardly any spirituality left. And it's a generation in which the footsteps of Messiah can be heard because he's so close. Now, would you agree that that's where we are right now? I mean, everybody who believes in Yeshua is like, oh, he's coming soon, he's coming soon, he's coming soon. Well, prove it. Prove it. You can't just say that. You have to be able to prove it. Well, I feel it. People say, I feel it, I can feel it. That means nothing. The rabbis weren't speaking about feeling something. They were talking about that it's a prophecy that this word, ekev, just this one word. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My laser's gone. Just that one word. Oh, thank you. That one word, the heels of, is a prophecy. Now let's see if I can figure out how to do it.
Squeeze on the...
Squeeze what?
Pen keeper, pocket keeper.
No, that's not. Okay. That one word there is not just a word, it's a prophecy. And it's a prophecy of right before the Messiah comes. Why? Because it's the heel, which is the very last part of the body. So the rabbis, seeing Israel as a human being, a body, they look at the very, very, very last part, and what is it? It's the heel.
Last thing you see.
It's the last thing you see, exactly. So it's not a leap of logic. It's very, very simple. It's the last generation in which we can hear the Messiah coming. Here he comes. This is a generation that will listen to these laws. Listen to these laws. This does not mean what you think it means. What we all have in our minds, so do I, and I've been working on getting rid of it for a long time, and I still have it there. You know, there's still remnants of it there, is this. God commands you to obey. And so, yes sir, I'm going to obey. I will do your laws because you've commanded me to. That has nothing to do with what the Scripture said. Not 1%. It's never in the Scripture. Now, I can't go into the whole thing right now because there's just simply no time. However, there's no such word as obey in the Bible. It's Shema, which means to hear. There's no such word as command. It's tzavah, which means to set up. It does not exist. So what you need to do is find out what those words really mean. Well, this word in the Hebrew, what it says is listen. On the heels of listening to the mitzvot, not obeying them, listening to them. So my question is, how do you listen to a law? It doesn't mean it came out of God's mouth and I shall dutifully listen. It doesn't say that. It says listen to the law itself. Listen to the law itself, Not listen to it coming out of God's mouth. And so, yes, sir, I will obey it. And I'm going to say this about 100 times because this is really right side up from the way we think. We think backwards. We think, I'm listening to God's law because he's saying it. No. You do God's law. I'm going to call it a law, even though it's a bad translation. You do God's law, for instance, tzion, and it talks to you. The law itself, is supposed to talk to us. Now, why don't the Jews do that? Well, they're the ones who wrote this stuff. They're the ones who saw that the word heals is prophecy. They're the ones who can see that it says listen to the mitzvot, not obey. So why do they obey? Because they don't have the Spirit of God. The church, which has the Spirit of God, why do they try to obey? Or why do they throw it out? And when I say they, I mean this is the way we think. They are us. And this is a problem. We still have in our thinking the way the Roman Church has built the structure of the body of Messiah. It is an enormous problem. If you say to people, the Bible says you're supposed to listen to the law, say this to Christians, they say, yes, I listen. I can prove it. There's a billboard halfway between El Paso and Anthony. It's a big, huge billboard coming west. Coming east. And it says, Christians obey the laws of Jesus. Huge letters. Christians obey the laws of Jesus. First of all, Jesus never gave any laws. He was the law in flesh. He never gave any laws. Secondly, there's no such thing as obeying the Bible. But this is how people think. And I get it. I understand. I still got some of this in my head. And I've been working on it for a long time to get rid of it. It's still somewhat there. So what I did was I got all these verses that talk about listening to the mitzvot. Deuteronomy 7:12, this one. On the heels of listening to the mitzvot. Number 2, Deuteronomy 11:13. If you listen to these mitzvot, blessings will occur. If you listen to the mitzvot. Not if you follow the law. If you listen to it, which means it has to preach, it has to talk. Deuteronomy 11:27, the blessing, now look at this. The blessing, if you listen to the mitzvot. And the very next verse, the opposite. The curse, if you do not listen to the mitzvot. Let's say that again. The curse, if you do not listen to the mitzvot. Not if you don't do the mitzvot. If you don't listen to the mitzvot. Now, you have to do it to have it talk to you. But the curse is not if you don't do it. The curse is if you don't listen to that thing talking. If you don't listen to Shabbat. If you don't listen to tzitzit. These are tzitzit. These fringes. The ones on the corners. If you don't listen to kippah. If you don't listen to the kosher laws. What to eat and what not to eat. If you don't listen to nidah, women's uncleanness for a week after their period. If you don't listen to that, what do you get? What do you get?
A curse.
A curse if you don't listen to that. Again, you got to do it in order to listen to it, I think. I'm pretty sure about that. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure you do. You can actually see somebody else do it, and you can hear it. That works. Which means you got to be around it. Deuteronomy 28. You will be on top, not beneath. If you listen to the mitzvot, you'll be on top, not beneath. What's the beneath? What's beneath? What's beneath the entire thing on the body? The heel. If on the heels of listening to the mitzvot, it shall be that on the heels of the mitzvot blessings will come, and then you won't be the heel. That's what it's saying. You won't be the heel. You'll be the top. If on the heels, it shall be that on the heels of listening to the mitzvot. Remember, heels is the last thing. It's the last thing you see. Here comes the Messiah. Here comes the Messiah. Here comes the Messiah. I can hear him. I can hear him. That's the heels. It's the last generation before the Messiah comes. He's coming. I can hear him. That's basically the picture that's being painted. If you do that, if we do that, we won't be the heel, the bottom. We'll be the head, the top. Now, I don't think it's any stretch of logic to say the Jews have been the heel. The Jews have been the bottom for more than 2,000 years. It hasn't just been 2,000 years. It's been worse since Yeshua came for the Jewish people than any other time in history. We've been the heel, we've been the bottom, we've been stepped on for 2,000 years. Why? Because we didn't listen to the mitzvot. We didn't listen to the mitzvot. And we were cursed. In fact, the Jewish people said when Yeshua was about to be killed, may his blood be upon us and upon our children. And they took the curse of the law on themselves. The curse of the law. Not the shadows and pictures of the law. This is very, very easy to understand if you can see that. It's probably impossible if you can't. The Jewish people have been the heel because we didn't listen to the mitzvot. Now some Jews are listening to the mitzvot because they have the Spirit of God. Judges chapter 2, the way of their fathers walked. He basically says, please don't walk the way. No, you didn't walk the way their fathers walked in listening to the mitzvot. Don't do that. You should walk the way your fathers walked in listening to the mitzvot. So that tells us at least some of the Jews that came out of Egypt heard the tzitzit and the kippah and Shabbat talking to them. They could hear it. It talked to them. At least some did. Nehemiah 9, our fathers were arrogant and they wouldn't listen to your mitzvot. Now I'm going to say it the way Jews and Christians read this. Our fathers were arrogant and they wouldn't listen to you commanding us. That's not what it says. It says they wouldn't listen to the mitzvot itself, not a command. So let's talk about listening to the mitzvot. The mitzvot speak. I've been a Messianic Jew since 1979. And what I've seen in Messianic Judaism is this. About 5% of Messianic Jews. I've given this a lot of thought, guys. I've thought about this for many years. And I'm trying to be as accurate as I possibly can. About 5% of Messianic Jews and Messianic Gentiles listen to the mitzvot. The other 95% do not. In the church, about 1% can listen to the mitzvot. However, when I got born again, it was 0. And each year, more and more, in the body of Messiah, people are starting to listen to the mitzvot. This is a huge ship that's turning very, very, very slowly. But what's happening is, quote, Christians, I'm going to put a lot of quotes, Christians are turning again to the Jewish roots of their faith. All those words are wrong, so that's why I put them in quotes. But believers are starting to turn again to Judaism. That's the right way to say it. I'm going to talk about that. Judaism speaks. Judaism is not a dirty word. It's not a dirty word. This is a book that Lorraine gave me called The Messianic Church Arising. One of the things I'm going to read from this is a negative thing, then I'm going to read a positive thing. Here's the negative thing. This guy who wrote this book does a magnificent job of introducing this concept. This whole book, look how thick it is an introduction to this concept. But in it, he's wrestling. He's wrestling with this concept. And the concept is Judaism. Judaism. He's a Christian talking to Christians, so he's really wrestling with this. And he says this, taking all of this together, I believe the Spirit of God is doing something, exclamation mark, doing something. And he's right. I've even tried to find a name for it. I thought about calling it the Judification of the church, but decided that wouldn't do. You know what he's thinking. You know why it wouldn't do for him. I jokingly suggested the rejunification of the church, but my wife groaned when I said that. It's not the Judaizing of the church, because Judaizing was a heresy. That is an absolute falsehood. He's wrestling with it. But what he ends up saying is because he lost the wrestling match. Judaizing never appears in the Bible, not one single time. It never appears in the New Testament, ever. And I challenge you to go try to find it. And I'm not talking about a translation, I'm talking about in the Greek. It does not exist. What they do is they teach it, and teach it, and teach it, and teach it, and teach it, so that, just like liberal Democrat politics, you say a lie enough, and people start believing it.
Right.
People just believe it because, well, that guy in the news quoted, please come sit in the seats over here, please. Can you get them, please? So they'll say a lie. Some guy in the New York Times will print a lie, and somebody in the Washington Post will pick it up and say, it's got to be true, he said it, and then it's all over the media, just like that. This happened the same way. There is no such word as Judaizing. It can't be a heresy because it doesn't exist. But he says what he's heard all his life. Well, it can't be the Judaizing of the church. Judaizing was a heresy. It wasn't. If you had the word Judaizing, which by the way does exist in the Old Testament, one time. Anybody know where? You know where? Anybody? Esther. It's the only time it appears. Esther. It says that tens of thousands of Gentiles turned to Judaism and were Judaized. Guess what the word is? Yehudi. Now they translate it as became Jews, but that's not quite it. It's word Judaized. It's a active verb that happens to you, like being what they call baptized. It's an active verb that happens to you. They were Judaized. The word Yehudi means praise. They became praisers. They became Jews, praisers. Now that's accurate. So Judaism is not a dirty word, and I really wish that Dr. Robert Heidler is the author of this book. I wish that he'd have been able to get, past the stuff in his head. Maybe that's happened already. He wrote this a while ago. But Judaism is not a dirty word. It's Yehudi, which means praise. To praise things, to pray, to the act of praising. Now, do we want that or do we not want that? That's the question. What I'm saying is that stuff that we call Judaism talks. It'll talk to you because it says we are supposed to listen to the mitzvot. Listen to the mitzvot. Well, how can you listen to them if they don't talk? Deuteronomy 7, Deuteronomy 11, Deuteronomy 11, Deuteronomy 11, Deuteronomy 28, Judges 2, Nehemiah 9. They all say the same thing, that we're supposed to listen to mitzvot. Well, how can you listen to them if they don't talk? So obviously they talk. Does that make sense? Yeah? No? Makes sense to me. So I did this graphic. This is the Shema. These are the letters that make up the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. It's the same word that they badly translate command. So what should we say? Command, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's Shema, to listen. And it talks. That Torah will talk. Not just the words on the page. The act that you do that's in the Torah. For instance, tzion. It will talk to you. It will prophesy to you. It will bless you. It'll teach you about God. It'll tell you about the kingdom. It'll tell you all kinds of stuff. And so we'll be blessed. Now when I come, Na'aseh v'nishma. Na'aseh v'nishma. This is in Exodus 26. We don't need to go to it. Exodus 26 says this. 23. Exodus 23 says this. When they came to the mountain of God, in chapter 19 of Exodus, and it says they're all at the base of the mountain. Moshe goes up and he gets the 10 words. Well, before he goes and gets them, he goes up and down 7 times, by the way. And in one of those times when he comes down, he says, these are the words of Adonai. And he says a whole bunch of words. And all of Israel answers back, Na'aseh v'nishma. Now they translate that as, some Bibles translate that as, we will do and we will obey. And it completely misses what's happening. It says, we'll do it and then we'll hear it. Na'aseh, we will do, v'nishma, and we will hear it. That's what it says. Na'aseh, we will do, v'nishma, then we will hear. How can you hear before you do? That's what they said. We will do and we will hear. Na'aseh v'nishma. We'll do and we will hear. Now if you read that like most people read it, you're like, we're going to do the act and then we'll hear you, O Lord, tell us to do it. It makes no sense. We'll do and then we shall obey thee, O Lord. It's not what it says. It's just the opposite. We'll do it and then we'll listen to it. That means it talks. It means it'll tell you stuff. Or I'm wrong about this whole concept. And if I'm wrong, that means the whole church is right, and all the Jews are right, and nothing's going to change. And if that's true, then God's a liar. Because God says it is going to change, and the body of Messiah is going to come together with Judaism, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that. So if you're still not tracking with me, don't worry, I'm going to prove my point as clearly as I can. So now let's compare that concept with these verses. Deuteronomy 13:4. Keep his mitzvot and listen to his what? Voice. Listen to his what? Voice. His voice. Now that's different from do it and listen to it. These ones say, keep his mitzvot and listen to him talk. Deuteronomy 13:8. Listen to his voice and keep his mitzvot. Deuteronomy 15:5, listen to the voice of Adonai to carefully keep all his mitzvot. Now this is what people have no problem with whatsoever. They're like, yeah, that's right. God's commanding me, and I will do it, because I'm a good boy and a good girl. It makes sense. 1 Kings 11:38. Listen to all I set up in observing my mitzvot. People have no problem with these verses, because they logically make sense. O Lord, thou hast commanded me, and I shall do thy will. But that's not what it's saying. You can't drop this out from the equation. On the heels of listening to the mitzvot, if you listen to the mitzvot, you'll be blessed. You'll get the blessing if you listen to the mitzvot. Not if you listen to God command you. That's now the 18th time I've said it, by the way. The curse, if you do not listen to the mitzvot. You'll be on top, not the heel, if you listen to the mitzvot. The way of their fathers who walked in listening to my mitzvot. Don't be like your fathers who were arrogant, who wouldn't listen to my mitzvot. People have a big problem with that because it makes no logical sense. These make sense. Listen to his voice and do his mitzvot. Do his commandments. That's how you read it in the Bible. Listen to his voice and then do his commandments. Yes, Lord. Not what God wants at all. Not what he wants at all. It doesn't work. It doesn't give you any revelation. It doesn't teach you anything. It just gives you a brownie point, a gold star on your forehead, make you feel good about yourself. But it doesn't tell you what God's like. We are to listen to those mitzvot. They talk. The doing of the act will talk to you. Romans 10:17. Let's look at this one. We haven't looked at any verses. I've been real nice to you. Boy, when I used to have a congregation I used to teach, we would flip through this Bible 100 times in the teaching. But I think the body of Messiah has gotten incredibly lazy because of the internet and phones. You don't even have to have a Bible with you. I think it's a miscarriage of justice. Not good. Romans 10:17. You've got to learn how to search through this thing without using a search engine. The scripture says to Paro, chapter 10:17. This is another one that's going to be hard for you to understand because of the way it's been taught. It's been taught backwards. The way it's been taught is this. Faith comes by hearing the Word of God. And so you must have a preacher, and the preacher must go out and preach the Word of God so that you can hear it and people can get saved. Not what it says at all. Not even close. What it says is, so faith comes from hearing. And hearing comes from what? The Word of Messiah. Hearing comes from the Word of Messiah. Not you got to hear the Bible. Hearing will come to you from the Word of Messiah. It's a gift of God. God has to open your ears. God's got to unplug your ears for you to hear it. That's why I have this graphic. If God doesn't open your ears, you're not going to hear nothing. You're not going to hear it talk. And that's what he's saying here. This is a Jew writing in a Jewish book to Jewish people and Gentiles who join themselves to Jews, Jewish concepts in a Jewish schema, a Jewish world about Jewish subjects. And the Jewish subject was understood in the first century. And the subject is hearing the Torah. And so that's why it says, so faith, understanding, comes from hearing. And hearing comes from the Word of Messiah. Hearing comes from the Word of Messiah. Not salvation comes from Messiah. Although that's true, but it's not what it says. All right. So let's talk about the word ekev. I can't do it. You can't speak Hebrew without water. Ekev. Ekev. Try it. You don't have water. Try it. Ekev. You gotta pop that guttural thing, snap that. Ekev. Now the word Jacob in Hebrew is Yaakov. Yaakov. That's tough. Not as tough as Yeshua, but it's tough. Yaakov. Try it. Yaakov. You gotta pop it. They're the same word. They're the same exact word. He was named heel catcher, Yaakov. Why? Because when he was born, popped out, he grabbed a hold of his brother's heel and pulled him back in the womb. That's crazy. I would love to see that in the movie. Like a little hand comes out. Well, the baby, Esau's already coming out, and then here comes a little hand. Grabs a hold of Esau and pulls him back in. No, what? Oh, I cut and paste. I'm sorry. There should be a yod right before the Ayin of Yaakov. I cut and paste and I forgot. Thank you, Onion. So, in the story, Genesis 25. Let's look at that. Genesis 25. Verse 27. Well, verse 26. Verse 25. Now the first came forth red, all over like a hairy garment, and they named him Esau, which means hairy. And afterward his brother came forth with his hand holding on to Esau's heel. He grasped his heel. So his name was called heel grabber, Yaakov, usurper. Somebody pulls somebody down to get up over him. Yaakov. And Isaac was 60 years old when he gave birth to them. That's another story. I'm not going to go into that. Yaakov, in verse 27, he's called a perfect man. This heel grabber, this usurper, this thief, this ganef. He's a perfect man. Verse 27. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter. By the way, hunting is not good unless you slice the throat properly and let the blood drain out. It's the wrong picture. You just blow away some animal. That's not the right picture. I mean, it's not evil or anything, but it's not the right picture. You don't learn from it. It doesn't talk to you. But if you slaughter it properly, it will talk to you. Believe me. We've done it. Became a skillful hunter, a man of the field. But Yaakov was an Ishtam, is what it says in Hebrew. Say Ishtam. Say Ishtam. Ishtam. What? Ishtam. Ishtam. The word tone, from which Tom comes, means perfect. That's what it means. You can translate it any way you want, but it literally means perfect, complete, full, whole, perfect. Can't add anything to it, can't take away anything from it. This guy was a jerk. He was a jerk. He was a god that he lied to his father to steal the blessing, lied to his father to steal, lied to Esau. He manipulated Esau to steal Esau's birthright. Because Esau was the firstborn, he should have got the birthright, but Jacob stole it from him by manipulating. He manipulated his dad to steal the blessing. He was a jerk. He had 4 wives and he played them against each other. Just a jerk. But he was perfect. He was perfect. He was an Ishtam. If those of you who are Jewish, those of us who are Jewish, we are probably the worst group of humans on the planet. We're horrible human beings. We fight about everything. We split hairs about everything. Everything is so important. Everything is sweet. We nitpick about everything. We always say, that's not the way I want. We gotta fix it. Gotta do it. Gotta redo it. Gotta make it happen. Gotta do it for me. That's what Jews are. We're perfect. It says in Numbers, chapter 23, verse 25, this pagan, witch, warlock, wizard, freak is saying true things. And he prophesies over Israel. He says, God sees no iniquity in Israel. These were scumbags. These were horrible people. I mean, they just made a calf and worshipped it. They took along their gods, Kiyun and Sikut. It says in Hosea and in Acts chapter 7, these were horrible human beings. God saw no iniquity in them. And then God says, it's not for any righteousness of your own, it's because of one thing and one thing only. Because some of you are listening to the mitzvot. That's all. And I'm being nice to you. Because I'm full of grace. I am grace incarnate. not incarnate in spirit. Boruah. And I know this is a hard and weird concept to get a hold of, on top of all the other weird ones that I'm presenting. But it's foundational. It's very, very important that you understand. Israel is perfect. The people of Israel are seen by God as perfect. Nothing has changed. Now, it doesn't mean they have salvation. It doesn't mean their spirit is alive. It just means that God looks down on Israel and sees, because of Jacob, that they're perfect. So his job, I assume, is to get us to the way he sees us. Does that make sense? His job, the Holy Spirit's job, is to get us where he already saw us 4,000 years ago. And that's what's happening. The believers and the Jews are starting to work their way toward the middle, which is Judaism. And some are listening to it. And it's like calling, hey, come on, I'm going to show you something. And some people are actually listening, more and more. Well, this guy, Jacob, he's an Ishtam. And his brother, Esau, was a horrible, horrible human being. But if you saw him, you'd go, now that's a guy I'd like to follow. He was beautiful, he was slick, he was Greek. Picture the Greeks. Beautiful. Just perfect to look at. Blessed. Now in the picture that I did, he doesn't look like that. He looks the way God sees it.
Oh, that Jewish stuff. Who cares about that Jew stuff?
And Jacob is like, perfect. But the way God sees it is the way I just characterized it. Romans chapter 11 says it. You know, I remember when I used to have the congregation and we would go through all these verses, I found it like that. Now, because you don't have Bibles, I'm like, where is stuff? I can't find anything. We were getting out of the habits we're supposed to have, which is getting into this book, finding our way around. Romans chapter 9, verse 11. Even though the twins, Jacob and Esau, Yaakov and Esau, were not yet born, they hadn't done anything good or bad, so that God's purpose, according to his choice, might stand, not because of works, but because of him who calls. In other words, God's really, really nice. It was said to her, the older shall serve the younger. Just as it is written, Jacob I loved, and Esau I, what does it say? Hated. Not couldn't handle once in a while. Hated. God hated Esau. Whatever was in there, in his heart, he hated it for it. Why? Because Esau hated that Jew stuff. He hated Judaism. He hated the seed of Messiah. He hated the bloodline of the Messiah. He hated the whole story that God was trying to lay out through creating the Jewish people. He hated it. So God hated him. That's why I made him look the way I made him look. You don't like this. Now, Jews know this. Jews know what Edom or Esau was like. And they talked about it. But before we look at that, look at Ephesians chapter 4. If you don't know the concept, I found it real quick, thank you. If you don't know the concept of Ishtam, you read this and you don't know what you're reading in the New Testament. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11 through 13. I'm not going to go into the whole thing about counting the Omer, which is what this is talking about. But at the end of the counting the Omer passage about apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers, it talks about this, verse 13, until we all attain to the unity of the faith. Am I just crazy that there's no unity of faith? None, zero. You got 750 major denominations of Christianity. More than 3,000 if you count the minor ones. 750 major denominations of Christianity, and they think they're splitting because of small things. There's no unity. There's nothing to bind us together. Nothing. Well, we're brought together by the blood of Christ. That ain't binding anybody together because you got 750 denominations. Where's the unity? The unity is in the thing we don't want. Judaism. That's the unity. But we don't want that. So there's no unity. So what God is doing is starting to Judaize the church. To restore that unity. Let's read it again. Until we all attain to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to an Ish Tam. We, the body of Messiah, is going to be an Ish Tam. Really? Yeah, really. I mean, look at the body of Messiah. It looks like Jacob, Ganath. Bunch of jerks. But God looks down and sees an Ish Tam. A perfect man, perfect person. Because we're the body of Messiah. But that says nothing about the unity of faith. We don't have unity. It just does not exist. In Messianic Judaism, there's unity as long as Judaism is the focus. As soon as that leaves, and it becomes Christian doctrine, Christian politics, Christian, setting up a congregation like a church, it's gone. The unity's gone. I've seen this since 1979, and I know what I'm talking about. But I've also seen that as Messianic Jews and Messianic Gentiles and churches and Christians come toward Judaism, instantly there's unity. Instantly. Yeah, I saw that too. Everybody does the same thing at the same time. They say the same thing. Everybody eats bitter herbs at Passover, and everybody cries. And everybody goes, I get it. That's unity. It's instantaneous unity. You don't get that in the church because there's nothing to do. I mean, not like Acts to do, like seed, fill in, which is the boxes we burn our arm and our head. Jewish stuff. There's no physical things to do. But God says we are supposed to attain to the unity of the congregation, to an Ish Tam. And here's what the Jews saw about Edom. That Edom, the nation supposedly descended from Esau, was also a symbol for Israel's eternal enemy. In other words, a picture. Esau is a picture of Israel's eternal enemy. Edom participated in the destruction of the first temple. Did you know that? Who destroyed the first temple?
Babylonian.
Who?
Babylonian.
Say it. Who destroyed the first temple?
Babylonian.
I can't hear you. Come on, guys, please.
Babylon.
Babylon destroyed the first temple. Who destroyed the second temple? Rome. Edom participated with Babylon to destroy the first temple. And their descendants, Esau, Edom's descendants, the Romans, destroyed the second. Did you know that? Did you know that Esau destroyed both temples? Edom destroyed both temples. Herod, the despised agent of Rome, was an Edomite. When Rome embraced Christianity, now remember, this is from a Jewish source. I didn't write this. When Rome embraced Christianity, Edom became a symbol for Christian Rome, and then for Christianity in general. So among Jews, among Judaism, they view Christians as Edom. Why? Because the church comes from a Roman root. And I know you know that. I'm not stretching history to say that. We know it came from Rome. So because it came from Rome, came out of Rome, the Jews look at it and go, hey, that's Edom. Edom hates Judaism. Edom destroyed the temples. Well, look what's happened for the last 2,000 years. Why is there no Judaism in the church? Because of its Roman root. This is not deep. This is very, very, very simple. And yet, it's like the emperor's new clothes. Nobody can see it. It's like we drank the Kool-Aid. We can't see it. Like, yes, I'm going to kill myself. What was that guy's name? He made everybody drink Kool-Aid and they killed themselves. 980 people killed themselves. What was his name?
Joe?
Yeah, Jim Jones. Here, drink the Kool-Aid. Oh, Christianity is opposite Judaism. And we turn into zombies. We can't use our brains and everything dissolves. History dissolves. Unity dissolves. And so that's why it's been broken for 2,000 years. God is now starting to put it back together. And that's what I'm going to show you. Here's another comment from a Jewish source. Encyclopedia of the Jewish Religion. This is a great book, by the way. If you can find it, by Zvi Verblowski. Great book. Really, really cool book. The name Esau, or Edom, is used as an eponym. Eponym means a title. For Rome, and in medieval Hebrew literature for any anti-Jewish regime. Christianity in particular. Jews aren't afraid to say this. We shouldn't either. Jews have lived it for 2,000 years. I mean, I don't want to take it too far, but I can think of one instance. There's many hundreds of them. But I can think of one instance in England in 1327, I believe. The Jews were herded into a huge church, cathedral. No, what am I saying? A huge synagogue. Oh, sorry. A huge synagogue, and the Christians burned it while they're in it, marching around it, chanting some Christian hymn. I don't know which one. I read the history. I can't remember what the hymn was. They marched around it singing a Christian hymn. In some of the Nazi death camps, it said up on top of some of the gas chambers, up on top of some of the gates into different parts of some of the death camps, we do this to you in the name of Christ. I mean, come on, is it any stretch of imagination or logic to say Christianity hates Judaism, hates it because of where it comes from? And that's in us. So little by little, that has to come out. The only way to get rid of that is to listen to this stuff and have it talk to you, have it preach to you. Don't obey God and do a Jewish thing. Do a Jewish thing and listen to it. Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do, then we will listen to it. We will listen to it, and thereby we'll hear God. You guys look like you just ran over a deer. That's what you look like. What did you do? What are you doing? All right, Yaakov was an Ishtam. When God says we are supposed to get to that, yes? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
God says we are to attain to that unity of understanding, of faith. So my question is, when? How is that going to happen? Really? We do this to you in the name of Christ, and you're going to bring Jews and Christians together? You got to be kidding me. And yet, that's what this book was written about. And there's many hundreds of other books that are written about similar subjects. This is called The Messianic Church Arising by Dr. Robert Heidler. I wrote my big book, my magnum opus, my big thing, which means I can pass away now because I've done my work, called When All the Pictures Are Restored. When all the pictures are restored. The Messianic Church arising means restored. It's the same concept. And he says that over and over again in this book. So my question is, when and how? Well, I've been watching it slowly, that shit slowly turn for more than 30 years. So I'm not alone anymore because people are saying what I'm saying, only not as clearly. They're not saying it as clearly. I'm not mean, I'm not harsh, I'm just clear. And I'm nice about it too. I'm just clear. I'm very, very clear. And I know, I used to not be, but I am now. I used to be mean. In Acts chapter 3, verse 21, let's go to that. There's an angel talking to the guys who are gaping up into the sky. No, actually, this is Peter talking. This is Peter preaching. Yeshua's already ascended. Holy Spirit's been poured out. Peter's preaching to the Jews. Peter, a Jew, Messianic Jew, is talking to Messianic Jews. He says in verse 19, "Repent therefore and do teshuvah, return, so your sins may be wiped away, in order that times of restoration," is what it says, "times of restoration may come from the face of the Lord, and so that he can send Yeshua the Messiah appointed for you." Send Yeshua back. So that he can send Yeshua back, whom heaven must receive until. In other words, Yeshua's going to come back when the period of the restoration of all things about which all the prophets wrote. From the mouth of his holy prophets from ancient time. In other words, Yeshua is going to go away until God restores, the time of restoration of all things. Really? The restoration of all of Judaism? Yeshua is gone until the restoration of all of Judaism, because that's what's written in this book. Judaism is defined in this book. And he says Yeshua is going to go away until this stuff, is restored. Until God restores all things. Until he restores the kosher laws, the new moon, the Sabbath, the festivals. All of Judaism that talk about Yeshua. All of it. Has that happened? I mean, 1%. 1% has happened. And it says he spoke about that time of restoration of all things by the mouth of all his prophets. Well, there's one time period that all the prophets spoke about. That is the restoration of all things. What's it called? The day of the Lord. What else is it called? The Messianic Kingdom. What else is it called? Yom Shekolot Shabbat. The day that is all of its Sabbath. Right. That ain't here. Don't be going, "Oh, Jesus is coming soon." He might be. Prove it. Prove it. You need to know what's happening. If you're going to say Yeshua's coming soon, you can't make a proclamation like that just because you feel it. You've got to know what you're talking about. The rabbis did. That's why they said the last generation before the Messiah comes will listen to these mitzvot. The last generation will listen to these laws. Is the last generation listening to these laws? Is this generation of people that are believers listening to Judaism? Is everybody in the church listening to Judaism? Then this isn't it. It's ain't it. Jesus is not coming as soon as you might think, but he might be. You're supposed to know when he's coming, by the way, to the day, to the hour, the date. You're supposed to know that. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but you can know for sure. You don't have to believe me about that, but you do have to believe me about this. That God says to listen to the Torah. And the rabbis saw that word heal, meaning the last generation, the bottom, the last part, as Messiah is coming. And that generation would listen to these laws. In other words, God would restore all things. And that's what Peter says. The Jews knew this concept. They knew that when Messiah comes, all things will be restored. It does not have to continue the way it is. Believers, you don't have to continue the way you are. You don't have to stay where you are. You can do all the Judaism you want. And listen to it. It'll talk to you. It'll bless you. It'll tell you all about God. And you can talk about it all you want. With Christians, with Jews, with non-believers, with anybody. You don't have to stay bound up and go, well, I can't talk about Judaism because, Christians aren't into that. It's really not time to discuss. Oh, yes, it is time to discuss that. Yes, it is time to talk about this. It is time because God's restoring this stuff. I ain't doing this. God is doing it. And so I'm just trying to jump into the flow of the water of what's going on. I've been doing this for 34 years. But now I can see that water is picking up steam, man. It's getting faster, and I don't want to get left out. I hope you don't want to get left out. Here's what the book says about that. For generations, men and women have sought to discover the secret of the early church's success. I'm just going to read it as is. I don't like the words. They're Christian words. You'll understand them. I don't quite understand them. I'm just going to read it as it is. There have been many attempts to restore the New Testament church, and many of these have seen a measure of success. The Protestant Reformation restored the doctrine of salvation and put the Bible back in the hands of people. This was a major step forward, but it didn't fully restore the church. The great revivals of the 18th century restored an emphasis on a godly lifestyle. The 19th century restoration movements focused on the structure of the church, seeking more biblical forms of church government. In the 20th century, the Pentecostal and healing movements restored the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Through the charismatic and Jesus movements, we saw the restoration of expressive, spirit-led worship. Through the body life movement, I do not know what that is. The body life movement came the restoration of every member ministry. Presently, the house church movement, prayer movement, prophetic and apostolic movements are all seeking to restore the power and life of the early church. I believe all these movements have been raised up by God and are restoring pieces of the puzzle. That's pretty cool. Pieces of the puzzle. All of these are essential if the church is to be restored. Yet, in all of this, there's a key element missing. In all the efforts of restoration, almost everyone has ignored the most basic fact. What is it? Judaism. The most basic fact of the early church's identity. We've not yet seen the church restored to its Jewish roots. It's that simple. But we are living in a day when that foundation stone is being restored. I believe that's true. So I'm not afraid to say it. And I'm going to say it the way God has shown it to me. And I'm going to say it louder and louder and louder. I've kept my mouth shut for 10 years. I've just kind of been ruminating and stuck under the ground and just growing. Like I was a dead plant, and now a little tendril shot up. So I'm going to start really talking about this. We don't have to be afraid of the word Judaism. Jewish, Judaizing. It's a good, fantastic thing. And you need to figure this out for you. You need to study the scriptures for you. On the heels of listening to these mitzvot, listening to Judaism, not listening to God's thunderous voice, listening to Judaism. When the church does Judaism, then listens to it, it will teach them. It will. It has to. Because that's what it does. That's all it does. It talks about God. Judaism talks about God. John 1:14, we read this last week when we were studying grace. This is the last thing. Don't get lost. Our foundation is in that logo. The Word became flesh. But that's not what the whole verse says. The Word became flesh. The Torah, the Judaism, became a human being. But then it says, and we saw Him revealing God. What became flesh? What became flesh? The Torah, the Tanakh, the Old Testament. There was no word of New Testament. It didn't exist. The Old Testament became a guy. And we looked at Him, at that Old Testament, full of grace and truth. That Old Testament is full of grace and truth. That became a guy. That became a man. That's why Yeshua was full of grace and truth, because He was the Tanakh. There's no split between the Tanakh and Yeshua. There's no split between Judaism and Christianity, at least not in God's eyes. So, in my opinion, I'm just kind of watching what's happening. God's bringing Gentiles and Jews who are Hellenized. That means Greekicized, Romanized. And Jews who are under the curse of the law, but have the law, but they don't have the Spirit of God, bringing those to the middle ground. Now they're trying to put labels on it, Messianic Judaism. Oh, that's all right, I don't care. Call it what you want. But it is Judaism. It's just plain old, rock solid Judaism. So if you're Gentile, and people say, well, what religion are you? I'm a Messianic Gentile. Messianic. The word Messiah means it's Christ in Greek. It's the word Christ in Greek. Mashiach, Messiah, is not a name. It means anointed one. It's a title. Christ, Christos, is Mashiach in Greek. They mean the same thing. It is not a name. So Messianic Gentile means believing in Messiah, Gentile.
Doing all the worldly things.
Say it again.
And doing all the worldly things, such as paganism.
No. Messianic Gentile means Messianic, believing in Messiah, Gentile. Gentiles do not become Jews. Gentiles are Gentiles. Jews are Jews. Guys in Esther, they forcibly turned into Jews. And if you want to convert to Judaism, who cares? Do it. I don't care. You're a Jew. But in the body of Messiah, it says in Ephesians, it says in Colossians, it says in Romans, it says in Corinthians, that the power of the body of Messiah is Gentiles doing Judaism. Not Jews doing Judaism. Gentiles doing Judaism. That's the power of God. Because Jews are supposed to do it, not Gentiles. Then they come together in unity. But they're still Gentiles. So, you want to know what you are? Say you're a Messianic Gentile. Jews, you're a Messianic Jew. It's pretty simple. It's not complicated. Let's pray. Abba, I ask that you would anoint this seed, this message, and that you plant it in, and not just through me, but plant this seed, this message through hundreds of people into tens of thousands of other people. I ask for your anointing on it, that you protect it, preserve it, and water it, and dung it, so that plant will grow huge. It will grow enormous and cover the earth the way it did in the first century. And I ask, Father, that you would restore all things. You would restore all things, all of Judaism, as you wrote about through all your prophets. I thank you, Abba. I thank you, Abba, for giving a venue to put this message out. I ask that you would increase it. I ask that you would protect from birds, from demons, these seeds that have been sown. Protect them, Lord. Don't allow the birds to snatch it away. And I ask that you put it in deep into the soil to protect it. I thank you, Father, in the name of Yeshua, that you are restoring all things. And I thank you for Yehudia, Judaism. I thank you that it talks to us. I thank you that you've given it a mouth to speak. I thank you that you've given us ears to hear. As Nain Karita, open my ears that I can hear it talk. I ask that you would spread that word, that truth, that seed throughout your body. In the name of Yeshua.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Y'all can join us.
Wait. Oh, you haven't seen it.